I think for the Times, and I think for many of the publications that you all represent, we care a lot about the relationship we have with our users, and the mission behind a lot of the work our publications do is around trust and transparency and information. So having a more open relationship around data with our users, meaning open as in transparent, we think is important. That said, timing and figuring out how we adapt to what is a truly like massive is an understatement. It's a total shift in the currency of the internet. So we've been able to make some big strides forward at the Times, especially recently. We're planning to eliminate all of our third-party segments, but it takes huge investment. We announced this week we would stop selling third-party segments, and that's the result of a year's worth of work and hiring people and investing in people. So I think I'm excited about the direction, but also what we would say nauseously optimistic about what's required to make this work within the world of publishing.
Yeah, so we've been working on kind of our first party data strategy and gathering our first party data and kind of recentering everything over the past 2 years with the launch of News IQ, which is our first party data platform across the whole of News Corp. And so, it's been on our, it's been what we're working on. It did require a massive shift at how we looked at the current ecosystem. I would agree with the nauseously optimistic perspective, because I would say it's a ton of investment. I think the quality of publisher first-party data is significantly better than a lot of third-party data that I think has been kind of the crack of the ecosystem for so long. And I think that will give us an opportunity to prove that this is kind of the new currency or the new data of the internet. I think the only thing that does give me pause is that we need to make sure that it's available at scale, and that we're able to use the same type of data taxonomy in order for all of us to kind of align our best data assets, because buyers, we're transacting on deal IDs now. It's still really tricky for everybody to set up deal IDs to get scale for buyers, and not as efficient as it could always be. So I think making sure that we have a solution that works with all publishers, so that they can get scale, and so that money doesn't just exclusively go to the platforms that have large first party data assets as well.
Makes sense. And from the two of you, it seems pretty clear there is no initiative or no desire to go out and rebuild the three-party ecosystem and try to share data at masses. So Chip, how is your team approaching that, and what is your perspective?
So our business, I would say it compares, it's different, but it actually has a similar function to Allison and Steph, which is we are 50% of our revenue is consumer. So the journey started long before, and I think Steph's team had already done this, and Allison's team had already done it because of the actual subscription factor of their businesses. But it started about 5.5 years ago with centralizing our data team, right? Because our data is used for, it is used for advertising and to help our marketing partners to target better, but it's also used to actually deliver all of our edit, which is on pulse, right? Making sure that our edit is and our content is actually relevant. It's actually for all of our consumer revenue. So we do about $1 billion in commerce. We are the world's second largest licensor. So all of these data, data silos had to be rolled up together into one place first, and then centralizing the data team and centralizing the data strategy. It took a while. But once that was done, the approach then became, okay, so how do we actually create persistency? And so our push for the last, 3.5 years since the centralization is persistency, right? So persistency in terms of resolving the user, persistency in terms of recognizing the user. And I think we came to the conclusion a couple of years ago, is as long as you know it is a person, right? People-based is critical, but as long as you know it's a person, you don't have to know their name. And by that, I mean, there are three different tiers, right? There are three different tiers of identity. two of which are extremely valuable, one of which may be less, but everyone goes right to the name driven, right? Goes right to the PII driven, which is, I should say old PII, not CCPA PII. But everyone goes right to, okay, I have a name and they're logged in, right? And that has tremendous value. But anonymous, which is actually, I know that they're a real person, but I don't necessarily know their name, but I know everything that they do, right? And then the lowest tier is they're just unknown to me. I'm actually seeing them for the first time, or I'm re-seeing them, but I don't realize. And so once we actually got to that level and we started understanding that anonymous has significant value, the focus was actually on not just resolving that user, but actually making sure that we maintain the bridge on enrichment. And so that has helped us over the long term build basically long-term trends against users and user behaviors that allow us to actually constantly build more insights about the user, which are almost equally, if not more so, more helpful to our advertisers than the segments themselves.